back, hey!
Tulsa King, Season 2, Episode 10, opens with Dwight strolling behind Thresher and watching him go about his business. Dwight isn't here to bargain, but Cal wants to be paid decently. He has enough negotiating power because Ming hasn't killed him, but Dwight threatens to put him to death if he breaks the agreement. Although Thresher wants to bargain like a man, Dwight has determined that he can simply take over his entire company now that Ming is no longer there. Dwight cautions that pride would swiftly lead to his death, and since he is involved in the underground, Thresher lacks the skills necessary for this and must abandon the gangster lifestyle for, well, gangsters. He eventually gives in and leaves the 18 acres of weed behind. Dwight is aware that things are changing and is keen that they stop scattering corpses around. He believes that the list of opponents is getting less. While this is happening, Vince calls and informs Dwight that he is now in charge, transferring ownership of Donnie's car. Additionally, he alerts Dwight that Chicky is on her way and attempting to negotiate, but Dwight is not amenable. Vince does, however, mention that Chicky will be exterminated if he is unable to persuade Dwight to return. Although Dwight realizes it won't work out, he wipes his hands of it. When Bevilacqua visits Dwight, she requests a share of the business. He thinks he has a legitimate reason to haggle because he assisted in Ming's death and wants a piece of what Dwight has created here. Bevilacqua eventually departs after refusing to compromise on his 50% cut, even if Dwight accepts a 25% cut. The two end their relationship on a shaky note, with a possible argument in the future. When Chicky arrives at the cannabis shop, she starts to threaten the staff until Dwight arrives. They finally speak in Dwight's office, and he is furious. Chicky's newfound enlightened attitude doesn't fool Dwight, who already knows this is all a charade. After all, the gang was willing to let him burn and never saw him throughout his incarceration, even if it was tempting to lead the family at the head of the table. Chicky does not value loyalty, particularly in light of his interactions with his own father. Chicky assures Dwight that he won't return without him, since she doesn't want to leave him without anything. Then, in an attempt to use Bevilacqua to get to Dwight, Chicky goes over to see him. Bill acknowledges that Dwight is a nasty and avaricious jerk, but he also says that he is an excellent businessman. Because they are in a tight spot, Chicky wants to cooperate with Bevilacqua to smack Dwight. It's a win-win situation for both of them because Bevilacqua would be able to keep his share of the company while Chicky would attempt to turn things around back in New York. Shortly after Dwight strikes a bargain with the locals, Chicky and Bevilacqua arrive at the casino. The two are making a proposal. Using Tulsa as a center of operations, they hope to grow the company that Dwight has established and eventually conquer neighboring states like Iowa and Arkansas. In essence, the company would be organized like a franchise, but all three of them would work together. But while Chicky keeps talking, Bevilacqua shoots him in the head out of the blue. He looks over at Dwight. 50%. And this is sufficient for Dwight to receive a portion of the company's profits. The FBI is going to take action, though. Everything on Dwight has been requested by headquarters in Washington, D.C. The culmination of all of this is Dwight being seized in the middle of the night, packed in the back of a vehicle, and driven to an unidentified location. Therefore, the conclusion affirms that this struggle is far from done, given the Empire's growth and Dwight's apparent invincibility. Now, it might be that Thresher is a serpent and working behind Dwight's back, or it might be that the FBI has invaded his domain and is ready to impose their will. Though it's unfortunate because the series' introductions seem to be setting up a huge confrontation between the two, I like the notion of it being Thresher, because he's been a very uninspiring nemesis. However, Chicky meets a fitting end, and it's very startling to witness Bevilacqua squeeze the gun in that way. He essentially pushed himself into a corner, and Chicky ended things as soon as he realized that Bill was his subordinate and would not allow him to speak. The conclusion leaves the possibility of a third season open, and the show has been enjoyable to watch. However, Tulsa King has been reliable and fantastic entertainment this year, and it ends on a strong note with an appropriately dramatic conclusion.